And you're not the only one who's whispered this name. I know Jeff Merrick brought it up, but man, if you say Darnell Nurse or even something that rhymes with it, this fan base is going nuts. Is that maybe where it came from? Like, did the Oilers maybe have some conversations over the last week where they were like,
well, okay, yeah. First of all, you said this was like fourth on the list when we were talking about topics, but fine, we'll get to it now. Sneaky. No, it's fine. I don't think it got too advanced in terms of external conversations. I know Nurse was a topic of discussion with at least one other team, outside of the Oilers, obviously. But I don't think it got too far along. I think this is something that will be looked at in the summer, and a bigger conversation obviously is to happen with him and go from there. But I do believe he was brought up with at least one, or I was told, so that's why I believe it, that he was brought up with at least one team. But again, I don't know how in-depth those conversations went. I don't think they went too far, but his name was popping up a few times over the course of the week. But again, I don't think it got to the point where it was serious. I think it will be, as I said, a subject for the summer.
Did the Oilers get close on anybody on deadline day? And if they did, is there a reason why things didn't get completed?
There was a lot of tire kicking. They were one of the teams that were in on Bobby McMahon, and there were a few people that thought that was going to get to the finish line. Didn't happen. Obviously, he ended up in Seattle. Colorado was in the mix. Utah was in the mix. There were a few other teams that were in the mix on Bobby McMahon, including the Oilers going into deadline day. Day of, I think they were pretty set with what they've got. Now, there were some discussions, and I think it was on a similar level of Nurse in terms of goaltending. But I don't think, and what I mean by similar on Nurse is I don't think it got to the point where it was, coming down to the wire or a decision had to be made or anything like that. I think there were loose conversations about goaltending, and I don't think it progressed to the point where it got overly serious, because I think there were too many moving parts for that to be considered in such a short period of time. And I think there were multiple. I don't think it was just one guy that they were targeting. I think there was at least two scenarios that could have been explored, but I don't think got to that point.
And the goaltending thing, honestly, the goaltending market as a whole just felt very clunky to me, because people were bringing up the Oilers, and it's kind of like, okay, unless there's a guy out there for a couple $1 million, which I don't think there was, it had to be like Tristan Jarry going the other way. And it's like, oh, that seems like something that probably can't happen at the deadline. And then even when you looked, like there was the Carolina rumors about Bobrovsky. And I was like, okay, sure, they keep half. And then what? Like Carolina's going to like squeeze out Freddie Anderson. Like Montreal, Binnington, okay. But then like is St. Louis taking Montembeau's deal? Everything just, I never bought the goaltending smoke.
And I think like a lot of names popped up last week. And I think that's why it garnered so much attention. Like I think I know there were conversations. I just don't think anything got even remotely close to the finish line in any sense. There was some talk Wednesday night or Thursday night about Vegas and Bobrovsky. That one side was suggesting something was close. The other side was saying, no, it's not close. So his name was certainly out there. There were some people who believed that Bobrovsky himself was asking some friends of his how life in Montreal was like. But again, nothing really got to the point where it was going to happen. Like I don't get a sense like there was an offer on the table in the goalie market that needed some convincing, or they just needed to debrief on something and then it didn't work out. So, I don't think it got to that point, but Wallsted's name was out there out of Minnesota. We heard both Stolar's and Wall's name out of Toronto. Buffalo was shopping Devin Levi. Like there were a lot of different pieces out there. Levi, a bit of a different scenario because of where he's at right now, but I think he has another year left on his deal too. But in terms of the NHL goalie market, in terms of starters and whatnot, there were so many names out there because I think so many teams were just exploring possibilities. but it never really got, at least my sense, is that nothing really got close to happening on that side.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you enjoyed today's episode of Oilers Nation Everyday, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube to not miss any of our content. We got you covered from interviews, insight, analysis, everything you need to stay up to date on everything around the team. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video.